So you're thinking about Charleston, South Carolina. You've done a little research, maybe you've taken a trip down this way, and now you're staring at two very different options. On one hand, there's Charleston proper. You've got the history, the cobblestone streets, the walkability, the food scene. On the other hand, there's Summerville, about 30 minutes northwest, a whole lot more house for your dollar, and that genuine small town southern feel. And if you're an empty nester, maybe the kids are off to college, or shoot, maybe they're at the College of Charleston, or you're looking for a second home, or maybe even just the full-time move, this is one of the most important decisions you'll make. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk you through the 5 rounds: price, lifestyle, location, the financial realities, and then I'm gonna tell you which one wins for which kind of buyer. And if you will stick around to the end, I'll share a golden nugget about property taxes that can save you thousands of dollars every year. So let's get into it. But before we do, remember you can always get my Charleston, South Carolina relocation guide below, but this one's a little different. This one's tailored actually towards the Charleston and Summerville comparison, and you can get that in the description below, and it'll just have plenty of information to digest about the move to the area. So let me give you the real deal right up front. The price gap between Charleston proper and Summerville is substantial, and it's the number one reason why people look north. In Charleston, and I'm talking the peninsula, you know, the area south of what they call the crosstown, which is the road that goes right through Charleston, cutting across the peninsula. You know, you're looking at a medium home price that's gonna be starting around 700 to 800K, and that's gonna actually need some work, but for something move-in ready, nicely renovated, you know, you're gonna be well into the millions, and you might be getting an 1,800 to 2,200 square foot place, maybe a small courtyard, you know, street parking only. Now, Summerville, that same $700,000 buys you a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with 2,800 square feet, maybe up to 3,200 square feet, a 2-car garage, a screened-in porch, and probably a fenced-in yard in a nice master plan community. And you know, maybe you want to spend less, maybe you want to spend 500K in Summerville, and you're still getting a beautiful, newer construction home with all the modern finishes. But here's the thing: price only tells you so much. It only tells you what you're buying, not how you're living. And this is where it gets interesting. And by the way, my name is Jason Carton. I'm with Carolina One Real Estate right here in Charleston, South Carolina. I grew up here on Sullivan's Island and in Mount Pleasant back in the 70s and 80s, and I can offer insight like only a true local can. Charleston is a walking city. You know, you park your car on Friday and you don't touch it again till Monday. You walk to dinner on King Street, you know, you're walking to the farmer's market in Marion Square on Saturday mornings, maybe even a walk to the Battery. You know, the energy is there, the restaurant scene is world class, and there's just always something happening. But here's the honest part, and that walkability comes with trade-offs. And you know, typically you're in a 150-year-old home, your neighbors are close, and I mean very close, sometimes arm's length. Parking is a constant negotiation, and in the summer when it's 95 degrees and 90% humidity, that walk down King Street just hits a little different. Now, take Summerville. Summerville's a totally different animal. You know, you're driving to dinner, you're driving to the grocery store, you're driving pretty much everywhere, but what you do get is space. A big kitchen or yard for the grandkids when they visit, a neighborhood pool, you know, the kind of living where you actually spread out. Summerville's got an awesome little downtown area. Hutchinson Square is charming as can be, and you've got some really good local food options like Nona's, for example, and here's a little shot of it here. And you know, it's a great little deli, but there's other stores there too, and little shops and a farmer's market of their own there. But make no mistake, it's a small town downtown. It's not Charleston, and it's not trying to be Charleston. And for a lot of, you know, empty nesters, that's exactly the point with Summerville. Let's talk geography, because this is where a lot of buyers fool themselves. Summerville is about 25 miles northwest of downtown Charleston. On a good day, that is with no traffic, you're looking at 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes to get to the peninsula. But let me give you the straight skinny here. There aren't a lot of good days anymore. Between I-26, between Summerville and Charleston during rush hour, now that's, you know, that can be a 45-minute to an hour journey. And you know, it's just not getting any better anytime soon. So if you're picturing yourself popping downtown to Charleston for dinner 3 nights a week, that's just too much of a commitment. It's doable, but I don't think it's really what you want here. Now, the flip side, Summerville puts you closer to the airport. About 15 minutes. It puts you closer to Columbia. It puts you closer to Greenville in the upstate. And if you're the kind of empty nester that, really wants to hit Charleston only once or twice a week for a nice dinner or a concert out, that 30-minute drive is not so bad. It's not so much of a commute at that juncture. It's just more of an occasion. Now, Charleston proper, you're in it. The airport's 20 minutes, the beaches, Sullivan's Island, Isle of Palms, Folly Beach, they're all 20 to 25 minutes away. Everything's close, but you're paying for that proximity with every square foot. All right, well, here's the part where I earn my keep, because there are financial differences between Charleston and Summerville that go way beyond the purchase price. And the first one's gonna be property taxes. Charleston County and Dorchester County, where Summerville sits, have two different millage rates. Now, if this is your primary residence in South Carolina, you're assessed at a 4% rate. But here's the golden nugget. If it's a second home, you're at 6%. And the difference between $500K and a $500K assessment in Summerville versus a $800K assessment on the peninsula, that's real money every single year. And we're talking thousands of dollars annually in taxes alone. Next up is going to be flood insurance. This is a big one. Most of Charleston proper, especially downtown and the surrounding areas, that sits in a flood zone. Flood insurance can run anywhere from $800 to several $1,000s a year, depending on your zone. And Summerville sits inland and is significantly higher in elevation, so it's definitely better. And you'll still need to check the flood map as to where you are specifically for your lot. But broadly speaking, flood insurance is much less of a concern in Summerville and just a much smaller bill, basically, for you there in Summerville. HOA dues. In Charleston's historic district, you won't probably have an HOA, but you'll have maintenance costs on a historic home that'll make your eyes water. In Summerville's master plan communities like Nexton, Cane Bay, White Gables, you will have HOA dues, but they typically cover, the amenities, the pools, the trails, the community events, lawn maintenance in some areas. Now, wind and hail insurance, both areas are coastal South Carolina, so neither one escapes this, but your replacement cost and therefore your premium scales with the value of your home, and a $500K home in Summerville just costs less to insure than an $800K home in Charleston. That's just simple as that. So, Charleston or Summerville? Well, here's my honest take, and I've helped buyers make this exact decision before. And, Charleston wins if you want the experience. If you want to walk everywhere, you want world-class restaurants at your doorstep. You want the historic charm, the energy, the feeling of being right in the middle of one of the most beautiful cities. You're willing to trade square footage and a garage for that. And you've got to have the budget to handle the higher cost also for all the ongoing maintenance. Now, Summerville wins if you want lifestyle. You want a big, comfortable home. You want space for the grandkids to come visit. You want the screened porch and a neighborhood pool. Maybe you're okay with driving 30 to 40 minutes to have the Charleston experience, just maybe one time a week. Maybe you'd rather have more house and less financial pressure. Now, here are the questions I actually ask my buyers when they're stuck on this one. And number one is, how often do you realistically see yourself going into Charleston? And be honest here, don't be aspirational, because it will have an impact on you. Number two, what's more important to you right now, space or location? There's no wrong answer there, but you definitely need to figure out which one's more important to you. And number three, what's your tolerance for home maintenance? Because a 150-year-old Charleston single house needs a lot more love than a 2018 home in, say, Nexton. Look, neither one is wrong. Charleston and Summerville both give you the piece of the low country life that you're looking for. They just have, different pieces, if you will. And your job is to figure out which piece fits the way you actually want to live. And don't forget, the free relocation guide below, it breaks down everything from your taxes, insurance, and what you should budget for, and it really does give you a great insight into the town. And please drop a comment below and tell me which way you're leaning, like maybe Charleston or Summerville. I'll read every one. I'd be more than happy to give you some insight. And if you found this video useful at all, please like the video, maybe subscribe to the channel, and you can also set up the notifications so you'll know when I drop my videos. And my name is Jason Carton. I'm with Carolina One Real Estate. I'm local. I'll give you the straight skinny every time. Y'all have a great day, and look out for the next video over here. Should be a good one.